All right, I'm going to say ETM Hotep. Welcome everyone to our Freestyle Fridays. You're hanging out with the Seshew mdw-ntr, and our Freestyle Fridays is our way of actually, having a fun exercise where we basically test our skills and we sharpen our skills in transliterations and translating different Egyptian texts. All right, so usually on Fridays, we pick a text from random, or we take a suggestion from people who submit it in our Facebook group, or email us, or just verbally recommend us to find something or get something that we freestyle on. Now, we call it Freestyle Friday because part of the process in transliterations, in transliterating and translating, is the use of sign list and also the use of dictionaries. So we dispense with that for Friday. That's why we call it Freestyle Friday. So we basically go straight from our head, straight from the dome, where we rely on our memory. All right. So in doing so, there may be some words that we may not be able to recall, or maybe some signs that we aren't able to recall. So when it's all said and done, when we conclude the session, we will at that point maybe crack open a book, so we won't leave anything hanging or leave anything to chance. But the whole Freestyle Friday is designed for us to have fun, and we like to have participation. And we know that this YouTube platform is a little strange with participation because we have the chat is open, but then when anyone's looking at the archive, it doesn't include the chat, so that gets a little weird. But while we're live, it works out for us. Okay, so I like to encourage participation. So I'm actually seeing some of the viewers are watching and tuned in now, and I'll say ETM Hotep to those of you. We have Sister Lisa, Monica, Brother Strife so far, and I say Hotep to you all. But before we begin, as it has become our custom, we would like to recite the offering formula. So with that, I will definitely pass the mic over to our sonnet, Tonika.
All right, Dua. Yes, I'll go ahead and read the offering. Yeah, before I do that, I would just like to say that well, when I read this, I read it using the name of the ancestors. When you're seeing up here is the offering done in that is written in Seshew, and then in the middle is that's the transliteration, and with the special signs we call it acrylic marks, and then the final part at the bottom, that is the translation, which is obviously in English. And on this part at the top, where it says insert name, I'm going to insert the name of the ancestors, and that in Rani Kemet, in the language of Kemet, is Aku. But you can while reciting, you can insert the name of anybody that you know, your ancestors, or anybody that has passed on, friends, or such. But okay, I'm without mumbling, I'm gonna go ahead and just read it. So okay, you can read along. Hotep Dinasu, Wesa Nebjadu, Necha Neb Abju, DF Beret Kheru, Tihen Ket, Ka Apet Shesmen Khet, Khet Nebet Neferet Wabet Ankhet Necha Im, In Kani Imahu, Aku Maheru. And translation is an offering which the king gives Osiris, Lord of Jadu, great God, Lord of abiders, so that he may give verbal offerings in bread, beer, ox, fowl, alabaster, linen, everything good and pure on which a God lives, for the car of the revered one, the ancestors justified. And I'll pass the mic over to Ujao.
All right, Iker Dua, that's excellent. And I'll introduce myself. My name is Wujao Meneb Irimaat, and I'll be running point for tonight's freestyle session. I'll be dishing it off and giving assist over to everyone else on the panel. And I guess you all can unmute your mic and let everyone know who we have on the panel so far. And some other members will be joining in later.
ETM Hotel. Welcome in peace. Thanks for tuning in to Freestyle Fridays. Hope you enjoy the show and leave satisfied. Hotel.
Hotep, this is Sonette Tonica, and welcome, and I'll pass over the mic to Son Kofi.
ETM Hotel. Dua, Ekanu N, Amanra Pata, Kwa E Second. I go by the name of Sen Kofi. And we just want to thank you all for tuning in to the Freestyle Fridays tonight. And on behalf of the crew, we just want to welcome you all to the show.
All right, Iker, Dua. All right, so we're going to jump in and start our Freestyle Friday session. So just remember, for those who are watching now, watching live, if you looking at your YouTube screen under the video, there's a cogwheel where you can actually set the settings to either 480, the quality of the video, to 480 or 720. All right, and I say that because sometimes if it's lower, it'll show it blurry. All right, and then sometimes we're trying to read these glyphs, so we need it as sharp as possible. So just keep that in mind, and let me share my screen. We'll get right to it. Let's see. All right. So, whoa, what just happened? Okay, yeah, if you all can let me know when you're able to see it.
Yeah, I see it here, but I haven't checked YouTube yet. If anybody else can check real quick.
Okay, yep, it's there. I see it. All right, good. Okay, so this is going to be our piece for tonight. And I'm acting on my cursor, so hopefully you can see my cursor. And this is the famous judgment scene. All right, now as soon as people see this, they should recognize it. Okay, they recognize it as judgment scene, and a lot of people recognize some of the figures in the scene. But there's a lot of, now this is from the Peret Imheru, judgment scene in the Peret Imheru, aka the Book of the Dead. So a lot of people are familiar with this because the so-called Book of the Dead is very popular. Even if you're not a student of Kemet, or you're not putting time into actually studying, a lot of people are just familiar with it just because of its popularity, and the Book of the Dead in general, but especially this scene right here, because you pretty much see it everywhere. All right, so this is supposed to be the judgment scene where the heart is weighed against the feather of Ma'at, the feather of truth. So this is what we're going to deal with this evening. Now, there's a whole lot of different Peret Imheru, or books of the dead, for different individuals, and they vary slightly from one to the other, and then different eras of time, from the Middle Kingdom, late, and then New Kingdom, and then the late period. All right, so they are not exact copies of each other. Some of them very differ. Some of them have a little more detail. Some of them are more abbreviated. So you're not going to see the exact same wording throughout all of them. All right. So this particular papyrus belongs to an individual, and I don't want to say the name just yet, because we should be able to pick that up from the actual Seshew mdw-ntr that we see on the screen. Another point I would like to make is that the Seshew mdw-ntr that you see is not, obviously, it's not the carved, detailed Seshew mdw-ntr that you'll find on monuments. This is done on papyrus, therefore it's done with ink and pen, or reed pen. So it's a little more simplified. Okay, and some scholars refer to this as cursive hieroglyphs, or cursive hieroglyphic. All right, so that's another point. Keep that in mind. And I say that because sometimes it may be a little bit difficult to identify some of the signs, but they pretty much kept their appearance of what they are representations of inside of the very detailed formal carved version of the same script. Okay, so keep all those things in mind, and then we can just dive in. So now let me explain the steps, or the tep hesib of transliteration and translating. And tep hesib, I mean correct method. There are 4 main steps to transliterating and translating. And we go over those 4 steps a lot. So you can look in our archives and get more details about these steps, but I'm just going to summarize them. There's 4 steps. Step 1 is to identify the direction in which the signs are to be read. Step 2 is to identify each individual sign, to know what they are, to know how it's transliterated, and the possible ways it can function inside of words. That's step 2. Step 3 is to group these individual signs into the proper groups to form words, and then to be able to look up those words in the dictionary of vocabulary lists. All right, but for our Freestyle Friday, we don't do that. And then back up to step 2. Step 2, you identify the signs by looking in the sign list. And for our Freestyle Friday, we don't do that either, because like I said, we're trying to work with our what we can recall from our memory. And then finally, the step 4 is to come away with a sensible translation into the target language, which for our case would be English. So we try to come up with a sensible English translation. So those are the 4 steps in gist that everyone follows, everyone does. Even if we were to go back in a time machine, go back to ancient Egyptian time, 3,000 years ago, 4,000, 5,000 years ago, we would still have to do that. It's just that these steps would happen very, very quickly when you already know the language. Even in English, we don't have to go through the exact same steps because we have the benefit of spaces that separate our words. So we don't have to figure out where one word ends and another one begins and things like that. But even in English, we can know English be our first tongue, mother tongue, speak it all our lives, but we still have to make use of dictionaries. All right. So likewise for here. So we basically put this to practice to see what we can recall from memory. So with that being said, step 1 is to identify the direction in which the signs are to be read. So let me move my in here. Okay, now this time for step 1, I would like to have some participation from those who are watching. So now I do acknowledge that there's a slight delay between what I'm saying right this second, between when people are going to hear it watching on the YouTube. So I'm going to allow for that little gap of time, but I would like to have some participation. So if any of you who are watching can let us know step 1, solve step 1 for us, and just let us know. Let us know what you come up with for step 1. And while I'm waiting, oh, go ahead. Somebody has something to say?
I was going to say, they're already on it. At least Sean gave his answer already, but like you said, we'll give him some time if anyone else wants to answer.
Okay, excellent. All right. Yeah, I know, and that's good. See, I want to acknowledge and show appreciation for those of you who tune in on a regular basis, because I can see the hunger, the thirst, the enthusiasm to really get busy with the language, and that's really, really good. That's refreshing to see, and I really appreciate it. That other people share the same enthusiasm that I have, and that everybody else on the Seshew panel has. So that's really, really good. So I see Sean has VRL, which will be vertical right to left. Okay. And I guess that's kind of like a, well, let me just say this. Let me just ask. I'm gonna give him some time because he's correct. But is he? For the entire picture, I'll just put it that way. So, Brother Sean, maybe you can elaborate on, your answer being vertical, right to left. And while I wait for you to answer that, I do want to point out the possible directions that the signs are read. And it's 4 directions. They're either vertical or horizontal. And by vertical or horizontal, you can substitute those 2 words for columns or rows. Okay, so Seshew mdw-ntr is written in columns or rows, or vertically or horizontally. And then it could be written from right to left or left to right. So those are the four directions. You won't read Seshew mdw-ntr in 45-degree angles, and you won't read them, in a circular pattern and things like that. All right, you will see them either in columns or rows, and those are the directions. So, so when Sean says vertical right to left, then he's speaking about in the column. Vertical is column, and from right to left. So, so again, my question is that true for the entire picture or not? And I see Brother Strife answered. He said the top row is vertical, left to right. Okay. And he said, and he also says, I think some of the columns are vertical, left to right, and right to left due to the facing of the characters. Okay, excellent. That's the answer I was looking for, and that's correct. All right. So that's good. That's Brother Strife. Okay, some of the pictures. Yeah, and Monica said the same thing. So, okay, that's good. Everybody's on it. Excellent. Okay, so we're going to move on. And let me just get my cursor back.
Since we didn't really touch on it, I'd like to add that the way we can tell how to read the glyphs is the way that the symbols or the glyphs are facing. We want to read into the glyphs. Like we say, you never want to talk to somebody to the back of their head. You talk to them in their face. So depending on which way the glyphs are facing, is how we determine which way to read.
Yep. Excellent. Absolutely right.
And just because we the Seshew and we like to be thorough, I like to say that that we also have something that has to be read also in horizontal as well at the bottom.
All right. Excellent. And that would be right there in the middle.
Right.
All right. See, that's how we do it around here. Very scientific, very meticulous, and very precise. All right. And that's serious. We kind of joke about it, but that's serious. We have to be scientific with this. And I want to say this too before we jump in. Linguistics is a bona fide hard science. Okay, and it has a lot of different subfields to it. Now, linguistics is one of those sciences that we tend to take for granted. And the reason why is because it is something that we do every day, all day, from a very, very young age. And that is to communicate. We learn to speak and we learn to understand when spoken to at a very, very young age. We learn to speak and comprehend what other people are saying prior to even learning how to read and write. We don't learn to read or write on an average age until about 5 years old when you get into kindergarten or first grade. So prior to that, you're already talking, you're already listening to people, you can understand everything. So it's something that we develop and do from the beginning of our lives, and we use it every day, all day. So because we do it every day, all day, we get numb to it and we take it for granted. So when it comes time to actually studying language as a scientific endeavor, we're really nonchalant about it. And like I said, we take things for granted. So a lot of people feel like there's no need to really put the rigor into studying different elements and aspects of language and so on and so forth. So although we kind of chuckle at being precise, but that is what we need to do. That's the very thing that we need to do. We need to be scientific. We need to be precise. when it comes to linguistics in general, and then definitely with this particular language, Rani Kemet, and all of its scripts, Seshew mdw-ntr, Seshew mdw-ntr, Seshew Nishat, and even Coptic. All right. So we need to be very meticulous with this. Okay. And that takes discipline and stamina. And that's something that we encourage everyone to develop, cultivate in themselves. And we practice it and do our best to keep at it as well. So I just want to put that out there. So you'll definitely hear us be very, very specific with words, the definitions of words in terms of terminologies, like, for example, what does transliteration mean? What does translation mean? What's the difference? And other terminologies that will come up, in our conversation. So you'll hear about that. All right. So with that being said, let's jump into it. So we already took care of step one. And I would say let's start at the very top of this picture. Okay. So I believe Brother Strife already informed us that it's going to be vertical with your columns, and it's going to be from left to right. So we're going to go, facing these seated figures here. And so let's find out what it says. But let's start over here all the way at the far left. Okay, so and hopefully y'all you can see my cursor. Let me see if I could block it out right there. Okay. Now, if you all can see that, so let me zoom in. Can I get rid of that? Yeah. All right, let me zoom in on that top part. Okay, I don't want to zoom too much. Let's see. Yeah, okay, you should still be able to see it. Okay, so let's start off with this upper left corner. And so we did step one. So let's repeat step one for this particular segment. So, anybody on the panel can answer that. What direction should we read these signs?
We have both directions. We have left to right and right to left.
All right, excellent.
And then, yeah, because what was that? Khalik Allah had asked a question if he can get some clarity on why it switches. And as Strife said, the direction that the figures are facing sometimes will tell you which way it's read. So in this left part of this left side, we have glyphs that are facing from right to left.
Let me just quickly ask you, can you see that box that I just put around there?
Yep.
All right. Good. Okay, good. Excellent. Okay, so yeah, June, I'm just following you. So you said like this portion is from right to left.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what about this portion?
That's where it starts from the left to right.
All right, good. Okay, so let's go here. Let's just where you can see my box. Let's tackle this. So you already did step one. So now let's just go through briefly go through step two. Step two is identifying different signs. So what are some of the signs you can identify here?
Starting from right to left, the first sign would be the reed leaf. We use a Gardner code M17, and then you jump to the left is the water ripple, Gardner code N35, and then below that we have the portable throne. Below that is the eye, that's Gardner code D4, and then we go back down. On the right side we see the Sioux plant. I think that's Gardner code M23, and then to the left of that we have the transliterated S, capital S, the Sesh palette, scribal palette, and then on that side we have the monoliteral, which is gives us the H, transliteration H, and then behind that is the quail chick. Behind that is the Nefer symbol, is the transliteration NFR. And then behind that we have the seated man.
Okay. All right. Good. Yeah, you identified all of them. So now that would be step 2. You know, step 2 would be that. So we went through step 1 and then step 2. So remember, step 3 would be to group the signs into words. And I would like to point out that as you do this, you know, as time goes on, as you do this, your mind will start to recognize patterns, because that's what it's really all about, is to recognize patterns or pattern recognition. And these patterns will form groups, and these groups will become those words, and the words will be, you know, will carry the meaning, you know. So there's ways to build up to that, you know, in step 3. And we would use what's commonly called determinatives to determine the meaning of words, but they also come at the end of words, which allows us to know where one word ends and another one begins. All right, so that's the build up. But once you know, get that under your belt and do that quite a few times, you'll just start to look at inscriptions and just see words as opposed to individual signs. All right, so with that said, we can jump to step 3. And for step 3, let me just pause for a second and see if we get some participation going on.
Also add about step 2 is a important tool we use to help us with this is the sign list. They'll help you with gathering the information you need, such as the sign list, the Gardner code, the transliteration, and the function of the signs.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at the comments just to see if anybody took a stab at the 3rd step. Okay, now, so remember, the 3rd step is to group the signs into words. So I want to just pause for a minute just to see if anyone who is watching can give us some of these words on the ones that I have in the box. So yeah, okay, so Brother Sean starts it off with reed leaf and water ripple together. Okay, that's correct, definitely. And then he says N29 hill or throne with the I, a D4 I. Okay, good. Just you said something or something. Let's just make it clear that is the like they call it the Sudan chair or the seated throne portions, just so you'll know. And then you have M23, the sedge plant. Yep. And what else? And I know it's a little awkward because there's a delay here. So, I don't like these. What do you call it? Moments of silence. All right. So I guess that's Sean is stops right there. Okay, he has a scribe, right? The scribe for writing. Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, that's good enough. So we can keep it moving. So June, I'm sorry, I just wanted to see if we get some participation on that. So he basically kind of grouped the words, and then you have the last part. So with that, what kind of translation? Now, mind you, on Freestyle Friday, we're almost forced to have to kind of do step 3 and 4 simultaneously, because when we're grouping the signs into words, because we're not taking time to look it up a dictionary, if we can recall the meaning, then, we might as well just say it. So that would be pretty much step 4. But then we'll kind of go back and do another pass and have a more fluid translation. So I guess that will be like the final thing for step 4. But so what do you have for this, June?
Okay. In this one, we see the name of the figure in the corner. For the first grouping, I would do the reed leaf and the water ripple, giving this transliteration IN. And then next 2, I would group together. We have the throne, as you were talking about, and the I. That gives the transliteration WSIR, Wasir. And then on the bottom, we have the Su plant, which is like an abbreviation for Nasut, transliteration NSWT. To the left of that, we have Sesh. I think this is a occasion where we have honorific transposition, where the supplant is first, where the supplant is first, and then we have so I think that's session suit.
Yep.
What's that, Kofi?
I was saying, I was agreeing with you. Yep.
Okay. And then the next column, we have the name. We have basically all of it together. We have transliteration H, W, and then the N, F, R, and then the seated man for the determinative. We have Hunefer. So I think the beginning of it is that like a abbreviation to the judgement formula that we often see.
Yeah, it was. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was gonna say yes. It's just the word by.
Mm-hmm. So it's saying by Wasir, the royal scribe Hunefer.
Okay. All right. Excellent. So now we got a name. So I didn't want to say the name at first, but this is the Papyrus of Hunefer, or as some people may say it as Hunefer. So this is by the Osir or Wasir, the royal scribe Hunefer. All right. So this is the person's name, his title, and then the fact that he is called Wasir as well. So that's this small portion. We basically went through all 4 of those steps. So, and likely see now, one of the questions, I forgot who asked it, but the question was asked, why the change as far as the direction? So you see this figure here is facing to the right, and these glyphs right here are facing to the right. And then this figure right here is facing to the left, and these glyphs in front are facing to the left. So it's an indication of these glyphs are pertaining to this figure. So this figure here kneeling down in this posture is in fact Hunefer. So this is by Wasir Seshew Hunefer. So this is who is right here. So we no longer have to guess. We can see a figure there. We can see, a male. Matter of fact, some people may even look at this and think he's a female because of the outfit, kind of missing this little small beard here and so on and so forth. So this is where confusion comes in, because a lot of people aren't reading the actual text. But this is the royal scribe Hunefer. All right. So with that said, let's just keep going, towards the right. So let's pick up right here. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, before we went on and tackled the rest, I just want to point out the important tool we use in this step. Of course, today's Freestyle Friday. We're working with notebooks off our memory. But if you want to help in these steps, you'll run to the dictionary on step 3. So we usually use most of the dictionaries, but we find it convenient to use the Mark Vigus dictionary. And you can easily find the definitions by searching them by Gardner code strings or by the transliteration. So it's just a important tool in this step.
Okay, yeah, that's good. And I want to add to that, though. That's a good point to make. And in addition to that, I want to let everyone know that even when we use dictionaries, now we use all the dictionaries that are available. I think I pretty much have every single dictionary that's been published, myself. Matter of fact, the whole team, or the group, I should say, Seshew mdw-ntr, we have pretty much all the dictionaries that are, even in the foreign languages. We have the German dictionaries, we have the French dictionaries, we have the various different English dictionaries. And we always encourage everyone to get as many resources as you can. Don't get stuck in one resource. And the reason why is because different dictionaries serve a different purpose, and some of them are more comprehensive than the other. Like, for example, the German dictionary, which is the Wörterbuch Egyptian Sprach. That dictionary is the most comprehensive dictionary to date. You know, it has thousands and thousands, I believe over 40,000 entries, as well as the variations of different words. It also has the actual attestation citations where you can actually find the individual words in primary text. So, for example, let's just say it had, this is just an example, let's just say it had the word sesh, which is this word here, in it. And when you look up the word, it will tell you, it will cite where you can find it, and it would cite this papyrus, Papyrus of Hunefer. It will tell you the plate number or what have you, or the line number or column number, etc. All right, so that's a very, very good comprehensive dictionary, and it is big. I think it has 5 or 6 volumes to it. But like Sun Jun said, for convenience, we use the Mark Vigus because it's electronic, it's free, and it being electronic, it allows us to have to search very quickly. Now, that's one. And then two, a second point is that we don't rely on the dictionary definitions. All right. So what we don't have to rely on it because we have other tools available to us to fact check the dictionary. So for the most part, a lot of dictionaries are correct, but whenever there's something in question or whenever there's a discrepancy, we can actually put in the work and use the tools and methods available to us through the historical comparative method within linguistics and compare these words to related African languages that are still spoken to this very day. All right, there's a whole science to it and procedure to that. And that's available to us. And we actually utilize that process to confirm or deny what the dictionaries say. All right. And I always like to point that out for people who may be a little apprehensive on using the available dictionaries because they are written by Egyptologists of European descent, or I should say non-African descent, or whatever the case is. All right. So we don't have to have that apprehension anymore because we can actually fact check these meanings. All right. So I always like to point that out. Okay, so let's
just to add that I think the apprehension comes from just people not actually having taken the time to look into the dictionary, because if they did, they would actually find most of the words relating to what it is that they might think they know already from different languages. So it's all about just taking the time and looking into it anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Good points. So yeah, so hopefully, everyone keep all those points in mind. So those are all excellent points. All right, so let's go ahead and continue. So I have the box around the next set of glyphs, and somebody else on the panel. Well, let me just let's just kind of volley back and forth. Let's see the participation. So I have a box around a set of glyphs. So anybody who's watching, if you want to go ahead and tackle those sets of glyphs inside the box. And here comes the awkward moment of silence because of the delay.
Well, I can. Let's see if I can. I'll say something that we usually say too, and we didn't get to mention yet is another thing that will help you. Because obviously to get to this point of transliterating and translating text, you have to have some prerequisites, some other stuff that you have to work on, and one of them being memorizing the monoliterals. It's basically like the alphabet of the script, and with this box right here, if you knew the monoliterals, like half of the box would be you would already know. So that also helps with working with these texts, is memorizing the monoliterals.
Okay, let me ask you a question, June.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm a beginner, when you said monoliterals, what is that?
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
It's the mono meaning one, or sometimes people say uniliteral. The una meaning one. It's basically one consonant, one sound.
Okay, perfect, good. So remember, it represents a single consonant. So mono is one, uni is one. All right. I see the brother Jehuti Mott is asking, where are we? So he's coming late. No, it's all good. So we are, if you can see my cursor, Jehuti, we are right here. And I'm not sure if you can see the box, but I put a box around where we are. And I'm basically waiting to see if anybody has figured out what this is. So, we're trying to get some participation back and forth. I see Brother Strife says the open mouth, the arm, and beneath that, it's not 100% legible. Okay. So far we have the open mouth and the arm. And then Brother Sean is the same thing, but he's asking the placenta. And nope.
That's real, these are all of them. Real. You just look at them and pay attention and just look at some of the figures. Look at the words and then look at the figures. Some of the figures giving you, what I'm saying, is hints also. Just look at the figures. If you can't get what that is, like, if he look at the first individual, just giving a clue, if he look at the first individual, he ought to be able to identify that when he go back and look at the first, where one of the brothers just said the R, the open the mouth, which is, I don't know if he said the R, but he said open mouth, the arm, and then he said a placenta. He would know that wouldn't be a placenta if he look at the first figure. Then he automatically identify, know what that is. And then also another clue, if you look up under what you said is the placenta, which is not the placenta, you see another sign. So that ought to be a clue also as well.
Yeah, that was spoon feeding. All they gotta do is chew now.
Okay, excellent. All right, that's a good point. And they have it now. Sean says Ra. So that's an excellent. So that's good. So
yeah, it's always a little bit complicated with the simplified /mdw-ntr, but get used to it, the way things are written.
yeah, and see now we like doing the more simplified /mdw-ntr as well, because it forces you to deal with pattern recognition. Because so for example, then this is to the brother Sean. Now when you see the open mouth, as you said, in the arm, your mind, you say that's Ra. And then what happens is, based on your memory and your familiarity with the inscriptions and the language and whatnot, over time, as you work on it, you'll know that Ra is usually determined, with the circle with the dot in the middle. So eventually your mind will tell you, okay, this is not a placenta, because this is a normal pattern that I'm always seeing. Ra, you got the sun disk with the dot in it, single stroke, and then a seated deity. So this is all spelling Ra, and that circle with the dot is the determinative for this particular, one of the determinatives for this particular word. So it's Ra.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't see Ra spelled like that. I mean, if you look back into the Old Kingdom, before the Old Kingdom, I'm gonna just say the Old Kingdom, you will see his name spelled like that a lot, especially when you look in the second, third, fourth dynasty. You'll see it spelled like that. You won't just see the circle with the dot in it. You start to see that a little bit later.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so those are excellent points. So Nafir and Iker, son Sean, brother Sean. And okay, so we took care of that one. So now we could say, okay, this is Ra, and now we can identify who this first seated. Okay, my cursor froze. Okay, there we go. We can identify who this first seated figure is, Ra. And now we can kind of put two and two together, because Ra is usually depicted with the solar disk as a headpiece or crown, encircled by the serpent. All right, so that's typical Ra right there. All right, now moving along, let's go to the next one. And so like I said, we're going to alternate from the chat to the panel. So somebody on the panel can knock this out.
Yeah. That one has the raised bread loaf at the top, and then the sledge, and then the other sign is, I think, is the unknown for him. You have a seated deity, and it's just put together as one word. Tum.
All right. This is Tum. Now, a lot of people will know this to be Atum. You know, they say it as Atum, the deity Atum or Tum. And so there you have it. So we have Ra, and now we have Atum or Tum. And let's go on to the next one. Let's deal with this one. And we're going to alternate. So let's go to the chat and see what we have for the chat. And like I said, we had this little awkward moment of silence because of the delay, but we can talk through it. But yeah, we're on this next figure. So I know. And by the way, you know, we're gonna walk our way towards the right. So, you know, ahead of time, if you recognize any of them, you know, just go ahead and be ready to type it in.
And again, if you can't make out the words, again, look at the individuals. Just look at some things that's going on with the individuals that may give you a clue of what this element or this principle is, or this nature is. Just look at some of those. I mean, because like I said a while ago, some of the things, out giving you an example exactly what it is. I could just look at the thing, look at the nature, and look at one thing and know exactly who it is.
All right.
Oh, somebody already got it. I think Sean, tell Sean to put that Theophilus book up.
What you saying, Sean cheating?
Yeah, Sean cheating.
No, Sean's doing good because you can see him. You can see he's talking out the process. I mean, in this case, typing out the process. Because at first he said, I can't make out the first sign, and then he said the other is a quail chick, and then he said shoe. So it's like, you know, that's the thought process. And then in between there, we have Brother Strife. He said reed leaf, quail chick, and then he asked if it's a placenta. And that is no, but he definitely had and it's actually not a reed leaf either in this case either. So this is the different feather actually. So just keep that in mind. But that's correct though. Brother Sean said it correct. It's shoe. All right. So just quickly going back. So we start off with Ra. First we have Hunefer in the corner. And he has an offering table. So he's giving an offering. He's giving his arms are raised in the posture called dua. So he's giving adoration and an offering to these figures here. So the first figure we already said is Ra. The second figure is Tum or Atum. And then the one we just did is Shu.
Hey, this picture here, man, just doing the top. Man, it's so deep and it's so powerful, man. People don't even understand it. I mean, if you go back to the beginning where you got Ra, then you got, well, okay, I'm not gonna go through all of them.
I'm about to say, bro, Kofi about to jump.
I know.
Well, it's deep, man. It's so deep, man. I'm gonna talk about it after we get through with it, man. But just looking at Ra, and then you going from Atum, then you going from Atum, then we went to Shu, and then we finna go on to the next. It's actually going through like a couple of stages right now or something. It's going through the stage.
So Kofi having light bulbs flashing, about to tell it everything. Goodness. All right, so no, but that's a good point because see, okay, one thing people have to understand, just to make a quick point real quick, is that rarely will you find any one particular text that is on an island of its own. You know, Kemet represented a large geographical territory from the Mediterranean at the upper part of Kemet, you know, as far as northern on our maps, which was called the Delta, all the way down to a southernmost border, which is usually Elephantine Island or the First Cataract, put it that way. That represents a large geographical territory. But even within that territory and all the different artifacts that's been found, the different papyri, stelae, coffins, the tombs, the temples, and even the ostraca, which are these pottery shards and stuff like that, everything, you name it. There are common themes. There are common themes that you can find shared throughout all of that territory and throughout all of these different eras of time. We have to remember Kemet is roughly, and you know, give or take depending on what scholar you talk to and what data you're dealing with, but you're looking at about a 3,500 year span, just to say a safe number of different material that's shared. You know, there's nothing that really stands out as an island on its own. So I just want to say that to kind of speak to a little bit of what Kofi's saying, because Kofi's about to talk about some stuff that's about to take everybody out, you know, take everybody out there. So we can talk about it definitely. Let's get through this top part and deal with it. So where were we at? Okay, so we're right here. So let me hopefully everybody can still see my cursor, and we are going to go with this here. So I believe we did somebody. We did the chat. So now somebody on the panel. Anybody else on the panel want to go ahead and do this one?
Yeah, it looked like it's written twice. But we see the bread loaf.
One, Brad, can I do one? Let me.
Yeah, go ahead, go.
All right, go ahead.
Hold on, let me. Okay, now I can see. The next one is you got the bread loaf, the horn viper. I guess that's the bowl and the bread loaf beside it, which gives me Tefnut.
Mm-hmm.
And like Sean said, it's written twice in there. You see it twice in there. Above her head also, you see the same thing above her head. So that is Tefnut.
All right. So there you have it. And let's move on to the next one. So hold up. After each one, I like to, hold on, my cursor got stuck. All right, I like to repeat. So we have Hunefer in the left, in a dua position, given adoration and as well as an offering. Then we have start off with Ra, Atum or Tum, Shu, and we just did Tefnut. All right, now let's go on. So now somebody from the chat, let's see what you come up with for this one. And I might have to scroll up because I know people were going pretty fast. As a matter of fact, I just want to say I acknowledge that the brother Jehuti, Ma'at, also had Tefnut as well. And let's see.
Yeah, Sean made a good point too that a clue is Tefnut and Shu usually accompany each other.
Yeah, but yeah. But after we finish, we'll be able to even add on to that. So, I'm just waiting to see if anybody has resolved this one. And then those of you all who just tuned in, I want to say ETM Hotep while we had this little moment of silence. ETM Hotep is welcome to welcome you in peace. I would say ET, welcome.
ETM Hotep Sendemo. He just joined us.
Yeah, ETM Hotep Sundemo. Oh, that's that Friday night chilling voice right there, boy. Wake up, get the cobwebs out, sleeping for the week. Sleeping for the week. We like ETM Hotep, Damo. We are all excited. Damo's like, yeah, Hotep. How y'all doing?
I know.
Peace to the family. My name is Damo, known as Damian Everly on Facebook. I'm DJ Damo on the Wheels of Steel.
Oh, I'm famous now. You got one for me now.
Yeah. But okay, so what we have going on? All right, so I'm waiting for the chat to. Okay, we have Brother Sean. He says the duck, and he says he can't make out this one. No lie. Okay, just a word of advice, Brother Sean. Don't say no lie, because when you say stuff like no lie, then that means any other time you must be lying. No, seriously though, that's that's like, well, in all honesty, how we say that, in all honesty, or to be truthful with you, when people say that, I always try to remind people, like, wait a minute, don't say that, because then that means any other time you must be telling a lie, So, all right, so you have the duck. That's the pintail duck, to be more precise, the African pintail duck, and
I thought it was a goose.
and you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It is the goose.
I just try to give them a hint. I just try to give them a clue. You get loose as a goose.
Exactly, and that's right. So thanks for that correction. I said pintail duck. That would be Gardner, a different Gardner code. That would be G39,
which is PA, wouldn't it? P capital A, wouldn't it?
That's the for the word sa, the word for sun, sa.
Oh, okay.
The other one is the one in flight, I think.
The one in flight, the pintail duck in flight will be pa. But so we're talking about the goose, which would be Gardner code G38, I believe, which stands for something. So, see, this is the thing. Remember, we have to, when you're doing transliterations and translations, you have to draw from all of your resources. You got to suck your resources dry to perform these things. So the goose, once you know it's a goose, okay, there you go. So Sean said Geb, and that's correct.
Yeah.
That's the correct answer, is Geb. Because the reason why I said that just now is because, as I'm going back, I said we got Ra, then we got Atum, Shu, Tefnut. And even Sean was the one that said Shu and Tefnut kind of go together. So if once your mind clicks, you'll say, okay, wait a minute, this is the goose, this is the, and under the goose, I don't think people can see it clearly, but you can see the leg. It is the foot, which should be the foot. The thing is, we know it's in the category of D, but I believe it's D58, the foot. So we have Geb there, and then we have the seed of deity. So it's the goose, G38, the D58 for the leg or foot, and then we have the seed of deity, which should be A40. All right, Gardner code A40. So that's good work. So that's Geb. All right, and now we're gonna come back to the panel and do one. And we'll highlight that one and the next one. So anybody on the panel want to tackle that one?
I'll do it.
All right.
That is the lovely newt. Shit, I done draw the blank now. The first sign is I know I'm pronouncing it wrong, but I know it's is the bowl. Oh, I forgot exactly what it's called, but I know it's NW.
Yeah.
Then you got the bread loaf, which is the T, and then you got the sky under that under it with the single stroke.
Mm-hmm.
So that gives me Newt, the sky. Hello?
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, that
Oh,
is correct.
everybody quiet. I thought I done dropped on.
I'm sorry, you know, we got
No. But you good. That's great.
I apologize for that. My little one has an urgent message to give me, you know, about some dessert. You know,
Yeah.
dessert is like real important to children. Boy, good. All right, so we have Newt. Okay, so we have Geb and then we have Newt. So let's go back over again. So we have Hunefer, then we have Ra, Tum or Atum, Shu, Tef, Newt, Geb, and now we have Newt. All right, so now we're gonna go forward here. This would be a real easy one. Let's see if anybody in the chat can grab and do this one. Let's see, we got see if anybody got it already. See Sean trying to rush ahead. He's trying to do the next one. Okay, now I know I have a little delay on my screen. Let me refresh my screen. All right, well, yeah, okay, see, all right, now this is the thing. So we've been on here for already an hour, and I wanted to kind of at least get into the text that's below. So let's kind of just go through these. We can do this from the panel. As far as us on the panel. So let's go ahead and go through, let's fly through these. So here we have what's called a beak, which is the word, Ronnie Kimmon word for falcon. So this will be heru right here. All right, so we have heru, and I think my cursor got stuck. And then afterwards, somebody want to do this one?
That's a set.
All right, next.
Nabhut.
Okay, good. Next. All right.
That's I know who it is, but I don't know what that look different. I don't know what I don't.
This is the tusk that stands for Hu. This is the deity Hu. So we have Hu, and then behind that one we have Sia, and then so let me go back up because I don't want to go too fast. So we have Ra, Atum, Shu, Tef Nut, Geb, Nut, Heru, Oset, Nebet Hut, Hu, and Sia. And now this one. Anybody want to tackle that one?
No, I don't want to tackle that.
All right. Well, okay, we can break it down. This is the word for wep, which is a pathway or road.
Right.
So we have wepet, because you have the bread loaf. So you have wepet, excuse me, wepet. Then we have the sedge plant with the open mouth on the bottom, which is the word resi for south. So we have wepet resi, which is a deity. So that's the deity or the road of the south. or the way of the south, personified as a deity. And so without giving it now that I said this one, now we all should be able to do the other two. So this one is the way of the south, which is Wepet Resi. And now let's do the next one. So somebody else can do the next one.
I still can't make out that. I know the last one, but I can't make that one out.
Okay, so we have Wepet Resi for the one before that, and on this one is Wepet Mehu. So it's the way of the north. So we have Wepet Resi and Wepet Mehu.
Okay, gotcha.
And the last one, Kofi, you said you got this one?
Yeah, that'd be Wepet. Damn, I done draw the blank. I mean, I know what it is. I know that's furthermost of the west, but I'm trying to pronounce it.
What's the deity that's hidden from everything?
Amen.
There you go. Amentet. The west.
Okay. Yeah, I meant that. That's right. I meant that. Yeah. Yeah, I meant that.
So we have Wepet Amentet. So this is the way of the west, or the road or pathway of the west. So that concludes the top part. So that's all of the different figures that we have up here. So let me I'll come back out a little bit. Wow, what happened? Okay. Go back. Okay, now you should be able to see all of it at one time. So we have Hunefer, Ra, Atum, Shu, Tefnut, Geb, Nut, Heru, Oset, Nebethut, Hu, Sia, Wepet, Resi, Wepet, Mehu, Wepet, Ementet. All right, so that's good. So now let's get into some text at the bottom. So you all let me know. Well, let me ask the chat. Where should we start? Should we start over here on the left, or should we start over here on the right, or should we start, somewhere else? You tell me. Oh, it look like Sean is already breaking down the whole first column right there. And he sure is. Okay, good. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's good. He said he did row 1. All right. So, for the sake of the archive, 'cause like I said, when people are going to watch this in the archives, they're not going to see the chat. So I'll just read what you have, Brother Sean. So we have, you have I-10, and then S-34, N-35, M-17, W-24, D-37, X1, I-9, I-9, and then that's where you stop. Now, those codes I just read are called Gardner codes for those who are listening. The Gardner codes, and I want to make this point as well with the Gardner codes, because a lot of people get apprehensive when you say the name Gardner, because that's also a non-African, author, scholar in Egyptology. Well, the Gardner codes that you hear us calling off are simply just grouping codes for grouping the different signs, and it's no different than how we organize our files on our computer hard drives. When you have all files of the same types, you may create a folder called 18th birthday party, and then all the pictures that you took from that birthday party, you're going to put it into a folder, and you're going to name it 18th birthday party. Okay, so what happened, Alan Gardner took the Seshew teat, the signs, and grouped them together based on their common theme. So all of the vegetation, that means all of the plants and trees and stuff like that, were grouped together and put under the category of M, as in Mary, the letter M. All of the signs that deal with human body parts are under the category D, as in dog. All of the signs that deal with water traveling on water, ships and things like that will fall under the letter P, as in Paul, and et cetera, et cetera. So that's what we say when we're talking about the Gardner codes and call off these codes, like G1 being the vulture. All the birds are under the category of G. So there's no need to be apprehensive of the Gardner codes and things like that. All right, because there are very few people out there that will kind of start shaking when you mention Gardner codes and things. So we have to kind of cut that out. All right, and so that's the purpose. It's just for us to be able to identify and group it together in different categories. All right. So unless you're going to run from your own hard drive and organizing your files, then there's no need to run or be apprehensive of Gardner codes. Okay, so with that being said, let's go ahead and start. So Sean basically started us off, and he kind of answered my question, where should we start? So he started over here on the right. Now, that's not to say that's where we should start the entire inscription, but that is a starting point, and there's no problem with that, because by the time you do the entire picture, entire phrase, you will see, in making it make sense and understanding how, what's being said, you'll be able to determine if indeed this is the first sentence to kind of understand what's going on in the scene. Okay, so he identified all of the glyphs. So he did step one. Well, he actually did step one and step two. So I'm trying to keep up. Let's see, did he go further? He said cobra with the stick, walking reed leaf, water ripple, owl, jug, bread. Okay. Okay, so he actually started on step 3, Jed Medu in. And that's this first form, that's this first part. Let me see if I can increase this size here and go over here. Okay, so this is what he said, Jed Medu in. And that's absolutely correct. Jed Medu in is a very common formula. It is nicknamed the quotation formula because it starts off something that's being said or quoted, or somebody speaking. So it actually means that words spoken by, Jed Medu in, words spoken by. And usually when you see that Jed Medu in like that, you can pretty much bet that the next word or phrase is going to be someone's name. All right. So with that being said, Sean said M, and he's thinking this is an owl here. But somebody on the panel, you want to go ahead and correct that?
Yeah, as I tried to remind him in the chat, like Kofi said, and we always say, is also you can look at the clues. So we have a figure down below facing to the right, along with the glyphs. We might give you a clue on who is talking about. I think that's actually the as you said earlier, the falcon, the heru.
Yes. And one of the biggest clues, remember this, that when we have the Jed Medu formula, Jed Medu in formula, usually it's going to be a name after that. Okay, a name along with an epithet or a title, but it's going to be a name. So it really wouldn't make sense to say Jed Medu in and then the M. So you kind of will anticipate, kind of have an expectation of a name, of a title, or whatever. So that should kind of like set your mind in place to be like, okay, well, this must be the falcon, the called the beak, which is the falcon. So Jed Medu in Heru. And so let's see, I'm just trying to keep up with everybody. Where are we? Did anybody go further?
No.
Okay. Brother ATM Hotep, Black History 365, just to kind of address what you just said. You said you thought the red glyphs is where you're supposed to start. Now, to address that, it's yes and no. I mean, it's yes and not necessarily. I should put it that way, because it's all in context. The red will usually indicate the beginning of something, but it's not necessarily the beginning of the entire scene that you're looking at. But it will definitely give you a clue or indicate the beginning of a section of text. Okay, but it may not necessarily be the very beginning of the entire picture that you're looking at, or whatever it is that you're dealing with. So in our case with this, you can say that we can begin here, you know, and go this way, because these are facing to the right. We're going to read from right to left and go this way first. That's how come I said earlier when Sean had started here, I was saying that for this section of text, he's correct, that we would start here for this section of text. Let me highlight that. So all of this text right here goes together. Hopefully you all can see my this box. All of that text go together, and yes, you would start on the right. And then to section off, all of this text goes together and it ends right here. This text goes together and it's facing to the left. And then we have all of this, you know, facing the same direction. And then this kind of, you know, is self-explanatory. This is isolated as its own grouping. All right. So now, you know, mind you, we won't have time to go through this entire thing, but let's go ahead and finish the column that Sean started though. Did anybody move forward on it?
Could you zoom in a little bit?
Oh yeah. And I do want to address somebody's question. Why are you? Okay. So hopefully you can see that. So we're dealing with the first column again. Let's see. Brother Strife said, has there been any work to redo the Gardner codes from an indigenous perspective? To address that, there is no need. You know, that's why I was saying what I said earlier. There's no need to. There's no such thing as an indigenous perspective of the Gardner codes, because all the Gardner codes represent is the grouping of like signs. You know, like I said, all of the birds are grouped under the letter G. So if we, you know, like there's really no need, but if we were to you know, change it, all we would end up doing is just saying, okay, we don't want to call it category G, let's call it you know, something else. But it will still be the same signs because all the birds are birds, you know, so it really is no need to switch that up or anything like that, because birds are birds, and we group all the birds together, and we will still be grouping all of the vegetation together. We will still be grouping all of animals together, which would be in Gardner's list to be E for all the mammals. You know, and so, you know, there's really no need. So I want to let that be known, because, you know, the Gardner codes don't deal with meaning or anything. They don't deal with meaning or interpretation or anything. It's just a way to group the signs. That's it. You know, it's just a way to group the signs. Okay, so, you know, and I'm just running my mouth to try to buy some time, so we won't have this empty.
Yeah. How far did it go? Is it as far as the falcon?
Yeah. Yes. And I'm
looking. Okay. I think I see the next sign. It looks like the spindle, I think. But what's after it? I don't know if it's like the new bowl. I'm not sure of that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the arm with holding the sharp object, and then yeah, and then you have the raised bread loaf. Yeah, the horn viper.
Mm-hmm.
A single stroke horn viper again. I think then you have the rabbit and an arm again. But I'm trying to put it into words. The the spindle and the new bowl. I just doesn't make sense to me still.
Okay.
And then you have Teth. Yeah, so just that part I'm not sure, but I know then the spindle should be nedge, and then could it be nedge ek? Not sure still, but
okay. Now just this one is tricky here, because this is the word for father, it, and then we have it f, which is his father. This phrase right here, it f, his father. So, but on this word you're correct, where you said this one here, the spindle, and then we have the new bowl, and then we have the arm with the object inside of it. Now, see, this is not a very prolific word, so trying to recall from memory, we may have a little problem.
Yeah, I haven't seen that combination before, and the three of them like that. So
yeah, so some of the words may not be one of those really, really popular words, but we may be able to pick up on it based on context. So we have Jed Medu, and like I said, so for Freestyle Friday again, we may have to blend steps 3 and 4 together because we're not using any of the books. So we kind of have to talk out the process. So Jed Medu N is words spoken by Heru. So Jed Medu N Heru. Then we have Nej It F, and then to go forward, we have this looks like the rabbit.
Yeah, it looks like it with the ears, but then from far actually looked like, what is it called, what is it, Papyrus or something, but it looks like the hair still.
Yeah. Now, see, this is where, like I said, we're freestyling, so we got to draw on all the resources, and then by us being a group, and we can kind of rely on each other's what each of us remember. This does look like a rabbit, but the rabbit would have the water ripple as the complement, and we usually see it with the water ripple. But because this is an arm, this lets me know that this is not the rabbit. This is actually the little baby deer, or
the Papyrus, they call it the Papyrus of Papyrus. Ew, is it the ew sign?
Yes.
Yes.
Because it's determined with this, and that's what this is transliterated as, you, which means a person who inherits something. So iwa or iao is the word for what do you call it, beneficiary person, or heir, like a heir to the throne type of thing. So that's
Yes, and I think with the context, it also makes sense anyway.
So just so far, we have words spoken by Heru. We can put a question mark there. Words spoken by Heru, blank, his father, hair. Hair. And then to keep going.
Yeah, that's the game board with water ripple men.
This right here. Oh, now I'm sorry, just to skip this for a second. Now, see, now this is a rabbit. This is the hair. Now I said hair. It's funny. Now I'm saying it means hair, and it's funny because the word hair the word hair is a sound alike or a homonym for the word rabbit as well. So that's kind of funny right there. It's a coincidence. But this hair, I'm talking about the hair that's spelled H-E-I-R, just for clarity for those who be watching.
Yeah, we got that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Now because I had to make sure I point that out because I don't want to confuse anybody. So hair, H-E-I-R, and this is a hair as in H-A-R-E, the hair rabbit, right here. Now they kind of look alike, but you see this tail is pointed up, this tail is extended down. So these slight little differences, it's hard to pick up on this because now if we were just to look at this sign by itself in isolation, we would swear up and down that it is the rabbit, it is the hare, the hare rabbit. But because we're supposed to be training ourselves to recognize patterns and full words, like how we do in English, when we look at an English word, we're not looking at the individual characters in the word. We're actually recognizing full words. So likewise, so that's why I said, in consideration of this arm and this sign over here, then, now we know that it's the word for inheritor or hair, H-E-I-R. So, and then we have the word, well, I skipped this one. I mean, we have men, and then, you were kind of questioning that. But we have this. Now, this is a common phrase right here. Maybe somebody in the chat. I haven't, my eyes aren't on the chat. So where my square is, does anybody in chat know that? Yeah, she said the ears are bigger on the hair. Lisa said that. So where I have this square, does anybody know what that phrase is? As far as the chat, I'm trying to give people in the chat a chance. And I apologize, because us going through this, I can't keep my eyes on both of them. I mean, the chat and the picture at the same time to follow the cursor and everything. And plus, we don't want to take too much time. At least we're going to get through this text that's facing this way, this block of text. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so hopefully everybody who's watching will just be able to follow along and pick up. So this is a common epithet of Osiris, as most people know, but Wasir, and it is mdw-ntr. Okay, mdw-ntr. Now the context will start making sense. So here we have two deities' names, Heru, and then we have mdw-ntr. So mdw-ntr is an epithet of Wasir or Osiris. So in essence, we have Heru or Horus and Wasir or Osiris. So we have Jed Medu in Heru, Nej, It-F, and then you have the I-A, the I, capital A, or I-A sign, EU, and then we have Minek, and then Ni, water ripple, and then mdw-ntr. So words spoken by Heru, and this word here, because of the stick in the hand, it's a determinative for action. So this word Nej is not the word Nej as in like Nej Karet, asking someone, how they're doing. This is a different word. This is the word for to protect or to fight. So this is the word to fight someone. But in this context, it would mean to avenge, like the comic book Avengers. So word spoken by Heru, who is the avenger of his father. So we have It, which is father, F, which is his, so his father. And then the inheritor, then we have the word Menek, and that one I do not recall the meaning of, but then we have Ni, which is of mdw-ntr, which is he who exists perfectly, has perfect existence.
Okay. Since you said that was Minik, so the sign after the other glyph with the circle, that would be the chooser. But what's the circle on it?
The placenta.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Duh. Right.
Yep, Manek. All right,
Exactly.
and to keep going, what's his last sign? Anybody want to pick that?
Looks like the owl.
Mm-hmm. And then afterwards, this one.
That's a arm.
Mm-hmm.
Garnicle D36. Under that is the basket with the handle.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think that's another word for wait. And then under that we have the quail chick and the seated deity. Uh, I think that's another word for protect. Mock. Is that mock?
Mm-hmm.
Or Maku?
Yep. Makwi.
Okay.
Now, now because this is because of this allows us to make another point, and that I would like to point out that these column lines that you see here are for aesthetic reasons only. They don't have a significance in terms of telling us when one word ends and another one begins, or where a sentence ends and another sentence begins. Because as you can see, this last sign right here is part of these signs right here. All of these go together as a word, but it's broken up because of aesthetic reasons. You know, there's room to write this, so they broke it up. It's similar to in English when we write in a paragraph and we get to the rightmost edge of the page, and we have a word and the word may be too long, we will use hyphen. So we'll hyphenate a word to continue it on the next line, you know, if we can. So this is similar, you know, in principle, where we have the M that's attached to this word here. So you have makwi here. And makwi is a word, now it's not a very popular word, but in narratives you will find it. And it's a word that means like and now, you know, or lo and behold, you know, it's one of those words that kind of introduce a narrative, a narration of something, you know. All right. Now the exact meaning of what the dictionary exactly says, I don't have, you know, from memory, but I just know that it's the beginning of a narrative. So it's like, you know, lo and behold, and now, and this kind of begins whatever is being said. All right. So
You talking about the red text?
I'm sorry, say it again. The red text.
Yeah, can you clarify that again? The red text about why it's in red. There was a reference made to what exactly is the significance? Why is it red ink? And is this a coloring book, or what's the significance of the red ink? Is it somebody's name? Is it in reference to like how they do in the Bible, where they put red ink when Jesus is speaking? What is the significance in the red ink that's on the papyrus? That's what they're talking about.
Oh, okay. That's interesting to kind of compare that, you know, the red, you know, Jesus's words in red and red and black. But way before the Bible was compiled and put together, we already had red and black contrasting texts. And this is one of them, you know. This is the Papyrus of Hunefer. Forget the dates. I believe it's 1650 BC. I don't know. We could find out the exact date. But so this is way before the compilation of the Bible. But the red would signify a beginning of a what Egyptologists will call a spell. But that's misleading. You know, we want to stay away from the word magic and the word spell, because the word magic, I mean, spell kind of put your mind in a place to think magic. And then when they talk about Egyptian magic and they talk about the word hika, meaning magic, and you got these spells, the spells of the deceased, and the coffin spells, spell number 500, spell number 600, stuff like that. You know, that is definitely not a you know, a reflection of what the text says. You know, these are more so, at the very least, we should say utterances, you know, because like, for example, this one here is I'm sure that you all can know this is an open mouth and the single stroke. So that's actually telling us that it's starting off by saying ra, or utterance, you know, to say something, that which comes out the mouth. You know, it's the utterance of something, you know, but they call it a spell. But anyway, the red would indicate the starting of one of those particular utterances, as we should say, and not so much a spell. All right, especially in the Peret Emeru, which would be the aka Book of the Dead, and so on. So just keep that in mind.
Some of the books that I have, they call it the rubric.
Mm-hmm. And if you look up, if you look up what that rubric, the word rubric means, it'll.
Yeah, I have. It says start of a document.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically like the beginning of the chapter or something like that.
Yep. So hopefully that clarifies that. Okay, so now we're kind of winding down time. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna go back over here so we can kind of continue. Where were we at? We were Jedmedu Heru, Nej it F, Iau, Menek, Ni within the fear. And then we have Makui, and here we are. So we are right here. So let's resolve for this here. Now, okay, well let me do this word. So anybody on the panel?
Yeah, that's the head, front facing head with the single stroke after it.
Mm-hmm.
For capital transliteration, capital HR, hair.
Yep.
For like a pawn.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. All right, so we straight on that. And the next word, or next.
It looks like we have the leg, Gardner code D58, and then behind that the folded cloth. And I'm trying to make out the next sign, but underneath that we have the legs, the two legs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know this word.
Okay, so now even though, okay, like, as you said, let's say we don't know the word, but let's know all that we can know. So we know this is best, BS.
Yes.
And then we know the walking legs deals with motion, actions dealing with movement and motion. So whatever this word means, it's going to have to do with movement, motion, and so on and so forth. And even if we don't recall, because like I said, Freestyle Friday, we are going from memory, and we may not recall this word from memory, but we'll look this up before we end this session. But so far, what we do know and can know is that it's the word best, BS. Most likely, these two are two determinatives, and one meaning motion.
Looks like it, yes.
So you're saying the walking leg should be used as a determinative as opposed to IW?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we'll confirm that, because we don't want to leave that hanging. We'll confirm that before we close out. We'll come back to that. So we have a question mark right here. So let's keep a question mark right here, and we can go on. And how much time? How much time do we have? We've been on 2 hours, so let's go ahead and
Okay, we can do that real quick. We have the water ripple, the basket. That's the thing. Neck, Wesser, Hunefer.
Mm-hmm.
On that column.
Mm-hmm. All right, good. So we have all right. So and this is probably a good place to stop because I can already see this is UF, which you know, once you become more familiar with the grammar, you'll know that this UF is called a particle or auxiliary, and it begins a sentence. So we can safely say that this next phrase right here is going to begin a sentence. So for the sake of time, we can just kind of give some fluid translation for these first 4 columns right here. All right. So in terms of not using any books, so the only thing that we pretty much are stumped on is the meaning of this word right here, best, right here. Everything else is pretty clear. So we have jed mdw-ntr, nej it-f, iau, menek, ni winin the fear, mekwi, hair best, enek, usir Hunefer. All right. So the only thing we don't recall is this best. We don't know what that is, but we pretty much have words spoken by Heru, the avenger of his father, and hair. And oh, and also a question mark on Menek, the meaning of it. And I'm willing to bet that this is an adjective that's going to describe what kind of hair. So we're gonna find out. And this is winning the fear, which is an epithet of Osiris or Wasir. And then we have Mekwi, which is like lo and behold. And then we have her, which is upon, and then best, and then Enek, which is to you. And then we have Usir Hunefer. Now, just this alone, my cursor got stuck. Okay, yeah. Now, yeah, it kind of froze again. Okay, real quickly, just this text alone. Now, you know, you can kind of see. Let me shrink. Let me go back out. Get a little fuller picture here. Okay. You can see. So we have words spoken by Heru. Heru is standing right here. Okay. And then it's ending this phrase with Hunefer. So here we have Enek, Wasir Hunefer. So to you. So now, even though we don't know what this word best is, and we see these walking legs, so I'm willing to bet that this word means to present, or give a presentation, to present, to bring something along those lines, because of the context is saying that it's saying hair best enek, to you, Osiris, or the Wasir Hunefer. And Heru standing here presenting or bringing or doing something with Hunefer. So Hunefer is standing right here behind Heru. So remember, like I said, you got to pull from all of your context clues. You know, and mind you, we're not using the book, any books. So we're forced to definitely pull from our context clues. So this is what I'm using right now. So we have Heru standing here, Hunefer standing behind him, and Heru is presenting. Then probably to the left. Now this is where this picture of this papyrus ends, but I'm sure to the right of it, outside of the picture, is gonna be Wasir sitting there on the throne that we see in these images all the time. So he's presenting Hunefer to Wasir. Okay, so with that said, and for time's sake, does anybody want to break out the dictionary so we can look up those 2 words that we weren't clear on, just so we can confirm and see where we're at?
All right.
So the first word would be Menek. It would be men, you know, the men word, and then so be MNX.
Yeah, page, let's see, 2,445, 2445. This is the 2015 edition.
Okay, and the meaning?
There's a lot of entries. Let's see.
Probably gonna be an adjective to describe hair. H-E-I-R.
Yeah, I got the game board with the water ripple, placenta, chisel, and then the papyrus.
Yes.
Potent. The first one says potent of king, rightfully trusty of officials. Another entry says well disposed, devoted, splendid,
Okay.
well famed, well established, efficient, beneficent, excellent. So yeah, there's a few entries on this. Lavish of worship.
Okay, so you can get the idea. It's going to describe hair, what kind of hair that Heru is. So he's the
Mhm.
splendid hair, the well-established hair, all these different adjectives that's going to be that's going to fit the context. So the other word, best. Let's look that up real quick.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that third sign is.
You don't know if you can see my screen.
It's a fish.
It's a fish. Okay, I can't see your screen. Let me switch over to you. Lock it on. All right, good. So now people could be able to see what it looks like. So we have the fish. I don't see the fish on your screen though.
Are you on 355 or 356?
355.
Okay.
354. You should have the one with the fish.
Yeah,
you got it right there.
Right there. If only
I think you see it right there.
particle.
Okay. And what was the other? That was it. It was it. It was only two.
Well, on the next page, it's more entries.
Yeah. Keep
To happen, to occur, introduce.
All right, hold up. Scroll down. So we can't
or
see.
to enter, you can actually the one without the walking legs you can find to enter or to bring in.
We can't. Antoine, if you could go down some. Okay, now you see the entry right there which says Bessie. Come forth, to flow, to extend, to introduce, to induct, to initiate. That is the word that we are looking for. So I'm gonna go back to my screen. Because as I said, we have a word spoken by Heru, the avenger of his father, the splendid or perfect or whatever other adjective you mentioned, June, of a type of hair of when in the field, which is the epithet of Osir. Then we have Makwi, and then her, and then Bessie, and then Enek, which is to you. So he's introducing or someone to Osiris or Osir. And then we have Hunefer here. All right, so hopefully, because we're at the 2-hour mark, and I don't want to sound rushed, but hopefully that will all make sense to what this is saying here. And let me kind of scroll back out. Zoom back out. Oh, it's too far. So here we are now. We started off on the right-hand side, but obviously this event takes place now. Being familiar with the Peret and Meru and the process of the judgment scene, we know that this will take place after the judgment. So Enpu, the figure that's here, is actually holding the hand of Hunefer and bringing him to be judged. And then the judgment occurs. And then afterwards, Heru presents Hunefer to Wasir or Osiris. So this would be the last part in this picture in terms of the chronological order of what is taking place. So I think Brother Strife had asked that, or somebody had mentioned this earlier, as far as where would we start in this entire scene. But in terms of text, isolating the text, you can actually do the transliteration and translation of this, but just keep in mind this may not be in the fuller context of things, it may not be the first thing in the chronological order, but you can actually do this, translate it, and then you have that documented, and then you can even move over to here and do this next block of text, dealing with this. Now, just looking at this real quick, we have Jed Medu and Jehuti, and then we have Neb Medu-ntr. So we have words spoken by Jehuti, and we see him standing here, and the Lord of Medu-ntr. Right here, we have the Lord of Medu-ntr himself, the patron deity of Seshew Medu-ntr, of the Seshew Ma'ani Medu-ntr as well. And then it goes on. So, we would be able to see that. And you would document this text, and then you can actually start from here and go this way and fulfill that and document that text, and then take this block, translate, document that. And then once you have everything documented, then as far as chronological order of these blocks of text, now you'll know the order that it's in, because it'll make sense to you. You'll start seeing the story unfold. All right. So hopefully everybody gains some kind of knowledge tonight. Having fun and whatnot. Try to include everyone on the chat, but it is kind of difficult the way this platform, Google Hangout platform, is set up, especially for the archives. So for those who listen on the archives, it's not my fault, but I apologize for you not being able to see the chat. But okay, so now I do want to kind of close out, but were there any questions, any lingering questions that's going on in the chat? Anybody keep their eyes on the chat?
Yeah, I got clarification on what red they were talking about. Now, if you go up to the deities, which we all named, Osiris, Tefnut, Hunefer, Heru, Aset, all the ones up top, there's a outline that they notice that's going around the body. If you notice on the white ones, some of them have a thick red outline on them. Is there a significance to that? In the platform they're sitting on, they're all on this long white platform that's outlined in red. Somebody is taking notice, Truth Hurts is taking notice to the outline. He's saying, well, what's going on with the outline? Why do some of them have the red one? Why do some of them not have the red one? Is there
I got you. Okay, well, now to answer that is quite simple, that the red is only outlining, pretty much, I'm not outlining the white. The white color is a contrast to the white. If you look at Hunefer's outfit, Hunefer's outfit is white, and then the interior lines to give the details of the outfit, the pleats and the folds inside the outfit, it is done in red. The pleats and fold in the Shindit of Jehuti standing here is in red. The same color is used for Heru. It's in red. So red is simply just being used as a color of outlining. All right. So this, and look at the scale. The white rope or whatever this would be made of or indicating, it's outlined in red. What else? Over here, Hunefer's outfit on the far left is outlined in red. Up here at the top, outlined in red. The white platform, as you said, is outlined in red. The white outfits of the various different deities that are in white, you could clearly see the red that's outlining. Okay, so it's not something that is, far, outside of that is just being read. And remember, these things were colored in and kind of highlighted and things like that. So that's where the red is for. Other than that, it wouldn't have a significance outside of that. Even look at the what Inpu is kneeling on is outlined in red. Now on my screen, see, now on the YouTube, it may not be showing it as clear, but let me zoom in. You can see what I was saying. The red outline, these are all outlined in red. So we have gold skin, green face for the ibis bird, but gold skin. brown skin for Hunefer himself. But then we have this red outline for this apron or shindik. And, you know, over here, you can see the sheer material. This is supposed to reflect sheerness, and he has apron on as well. But you see the sheer because you can see his leg, the outline of his leg underneath the white. But this is outlined in red. You know, all these pleats and stuff are in red. So hopefully that'll clarify that for the brother. Yep. All right. And you know, this is really good because you gotta remember this papyrus, I don't know, does anybody get a date on Hunefer? Let me see. Because this is preserved pretty good for it to be as old as it is. You know, trying to find a date really fast here. Hunefer. Oh man, I don't see it as fast as I thought I could find it. All right, here we go. 1275 BC. So the date I said earlier, scratch that. It's 1275 BC, circa, or approximately 1275 BC for the Papyrus of Hunefer. So we're dealing with over 3,000 years old. This is over 3,000 years old, and it still has color, you know, and it's pretty vibrant. So, man, this is really impressive. All right. But was there anything else? Oh, there's a question. Lisa asks, what is the animal under the scales? Okay, that animal, matter of fact, let me zoom in. This animal is called slightly various different ways of it being spelled or called, but it's generally Amit, which is people will know this as the monster who will, or the devourer, that if you're judged unfavorably, this particular deity would devour you know, if you're judged unfavorably. So we have the head of a crocodile, the forepart of a lion, and the back part of a hippopotamus. All right, but you see the name right here. All right, so hopefully that answers that question. Amit. And you can look up Amit. Let's see, was there anything else? Am I missing anything? Yeah, see, Truth Hurt said that apparently Egyptians use color for a reason. For example, Wasir. Definitely, I mean, color has its representations and meanings for sure, and there's significance to it. But now they're not static though, so keep that in mind, brother Truth Hurt. Well, I'm assuming this is a brother, so excuse me if I don't know, but it's not static all the time because let's say, for example, in this papyrus, Jehuti's skin tone or skin color chosen is gold, but elsewhere you see it being reddish brown. All right, so just remember that it's not static. So in other words, what I mean by that is that a color was not stuck to mean one particular thing. So it depends on the context and whatever else is going on. So just keep that in mind. But I will say this, in the Paradum Heru, a lot of people, I have seen people make comments about the females or the women that you see in the Paradum Heru, and why do they appear to have pale skin? You know, because people will say, this must be the time when you know, Europeans invaded Kemet, or, you know, the invaders came into Kemet and things like that. And that's not the case. You know, there's a significance with that. And I don't have a picture readily to be able to show to kind of explain. But okay, but just to say, you can look it up on your own. Look at the most famous so-called Book of the Dead, or the Papyrus of Ani, the Book of the Dead of Ani, and look at the very first scene of the funerary procession. And if you look in there, you'll see a group of women. You know, it's a funeral procession where you're coming from the town or the home of Ani, and he's going to his gravesite or tomb. And along that journey, you're going to see several different people. But right in the middle, somewhere near the middle, you're going to see a group of women, and they're going to have pale skin. They're going to have white garments that you can see through, and their hair, they look like their hands are in the air in a certain position. Sometimes they're pulling on their hair, and so on and so forth. All those things have significant meaning to it. It's not that these are pale skinned people. You know, like how we would view it today, pale skinned people are, you know, either from European countries and things like that. No, that, you know, in that instance, is significant to mourning, and a lot of times those are professional mourners, and that still goes on to this very day. You know, kind of tripped me out when I first heard about that a long while back, that you can actually pay people today to attend a funeral to cry. You know, I you know, that kind of blew me away when I first heard about that. But that's an ancient practice where mourners were paid or given some kind of compensation to actually be professional. They were good at it. They can cry and perform, you know, certain rituals that's involved with that. You know, pulling of the hair, certain moans and groans and things that they make. That was all part of the process. So that's an African event or tradition. All right. So they're depicted as pale skin for different reasons. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of say that. And was there anything else? Because I don't want to be too long. We've already been 2 hours, and I definitely want to I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Keep these sessions, you know, within a 2-hour range if we can help ourselves.
Did y'all get the date?
Yeah, 1275 BC.
Okay.
Oh, who's that? Brother June, you have it on your screen. You're right. Now it's kind of small, but you can kind of see the procession right there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a long papyrus. I think it's like 15 feet long.
Right, and this is Hunefer. Exactly, this is still the same one, Hunefer.
Mm.
All right. Okay.
Yep. So like you said, if you can still see my screen, we're doing this section right here in the middle, and to the right of that, we do see Wasir seated with Aset and Nebet Hut.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so, okay. Anything else? And ETM Hotep, Antoine, I know you kind of snuck in on us, you know, came in through the back door, boy.
Hotep.
Yeah, so but hopefully, you know, we kind of have a freestyle. So again, on Fridays, we freestyle, we try to have fun, we sharpen our skills, we want crowd participation or viewer participation in this case. So everybody can sharpen their skills, you know, put away your books and try to go from your memory, go from the head, straight from the head, and just learn from the whole process. So in doing so, it's very revealing because, you know, it makes you feel vulnerable, you know, because we are actually, you know, using no safety net, no tools, no nothing. You know, we are just going straight from the head, and there's words that we just not going to know. There's signs that we may not memorize or recognize, you know. But sometimes you get to the point where you'll see a sign and you know you've seen it before. Like in your mind, all you can say is like, wow, I've seen that before. but you just may not remember what it represents. And so, you know, that happens a lot. And then you may see combination of signs as a word. You'd be like, okay, I've seen this before. I've seen this word before, but man, I can't recall what it means, you know? So this exercise is really good because it pushes you. It pushes you to retain the information, you know? So keep that in mind. So even without us or you know, coming along, hanging out with us, do it on your own. Look at a picture, stare at it, try to figure out what you can without opening any books. Just look at a picture, pull it up on your screen, computer screen, Google. You can Google Egyptian papyri or Egyptian stele or Egyptian whatever, and you'll find a whole bunch of pictures. Just go to the images and download that. Create a folder on your hard drive and just fill the folder up. That's what I have. I have a whole bunch of pictures, you know, and I've actually got to get better at naming my files because I can never find the picture again when I need to. So anyway, with that, I'll just, you know, end off everything I have to offer for tonight. And does anybody else have anything else?
I just want to say dua. Thanks for everybody's support and tuning in. I hope you guys got something from it. That's all I had. Shimon, hold up.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else, I want to definitely say I appreciate everyone showing up and hanging out with us live, because you know Friday night anybody could be doing anything. You know, Friday night is the Friday even got its name changed to Friday. You know, people saying Friday. You know, yay, it's Friday. You know, people, you know, go out and want to kind of have that me time and stuff like that. So I definitely appreciate people taking time out, hanging out with us, having fun and everything. And the people that consistently hang out with us. So, you know, it's good. But I'll pass the mic over to Sonette Tonica if she has any closing remarks and close us out. That would be appreciated.
Not much, but yeah, thank you, Dua, for participating. And yeah, that was great. I mean, every Friday I get to learn something new. I've got 3 new vocabularies in my basket, so that's really good. And yeah, thank you for participating, and we'll see you again next week on Divine Words Wednesday, or in the group. For all of you guys who are in the group, if you haven't joined the group, please do. That's Seshew mdw-ntr on Facebook, and check out the website www.mdw-ntr.com, www.mdw-ntr.com. And yeah, what else could I say? Yeah, make sure you get the book if you're just learning, and check out the other videos that we have. And if you feel there's any corrections, again, just you know, you can let us know you know, through the group page. Just make sure that you join the group as well. Again, so with that, I'll say dua and get an effort and Shema Motep.